This is a difficult situation because an individual's life is at stake here, and also because there are a lot of people involved here who are emotionally invested. And so I want to look at the situation by going through every single person, seeing where they come from, and so that I can see what I would say to them to help mediate this situation. The first person I want to have a look at is actually myself. I want to be aware of my limitations here. I'm a layperson, I don't have appropriate medical knowledge or training, and so my advice to my grandfather in the medical aspects of the operation is very limited. I also have to be aware of my emotional bias. Presumably, I would not want my grandfather to have this operation because there's a risk that he might die. However, I should be aware of this emotion and try my best to not let this influence what I say to him. Now I want to consider the grandfather, who is the most important person in this situation. He is the patient at the end of the day, and he has the autonomy. He has the final say of what he wants to do. Now, he has expressed that he wants to take the procedure because it will get rid of the cancer. So when I speak to him in conversation, I just want to check his understanding. I want to make sure that he's been well informed. Now, with the procedure, which is the one hand of the decision, I want to check his understanding. Does he understand, the risks and benefits? Does he understand there might be some medications you have to take? How would this procedure affect his quality of life? How have others fared in this procedure? So I want to check his understanding of those important pieces of information. Now, I also want him to explore the other side of the decision, which is to refuse the operation. I want to explore, does he understand the risks and benefits there? What will those sort of last 5 years be like? There are also some deeper questions I would want to explore with my grandfather, such as how satisfied he is with his life. He is 70 years old and is entering the latter stages of life. And I want to ask him, what else does he want to do in his last in sort of the last period of his life? How does he want to live? How independent does he want to be? Now, so that's the grandfather. Another important person in this situation is the mother. Now, this is very tricky because she's going to be very emotional because this is her father. And so she's going to have a stronger relationship than I would, and possibly the strongest out of everyone in the family. So when I approach her in conversation, I just want to approach with a lot of sensitivity and a lot of understanding. I want to listen to her anxieties, I want to listen to her worries and see if she has any questions. Hopefully me and my mother can come to a understanding that although we care a lot for this person, that ultimately the best way we can help him and support him is by respecting his decision. Another important person in this situation is the doctor. And I would only approach the doctor if I thought my grandfather lacked understanding. So I would go to the doctor and say, and ask if he could have another chat with my grandfather and just have a chat with him. The other important people in this situation are the other family members. I have to acknowledge that a lot of them are going to be emotional, and for good reasons. There's a lot at stake here. What's important with the family is hopefully we can come to an understanding that the best way we can support this person is by preparing a plan for either decision he makes. So if he decides to have the procedure, that perhaps we can have a roster of people that come to the hospital and support him there. And maybe we can also talk about how we would support this financially. And if our grandfather decides to refuse to have the procedure, to have a plan there. Maybe he wants to consider end-of-life care or palliative care, or maybe he wants to receive individual support in his own home. These are sort of the important people I would speak to and the important things I would say to them in this situation.